Guys, where am I
just
sitting?
huddle up together.
It doesn't matter anyway, we can just huddle.
I can't sit in the corner.
Service.
I'll tell you what it is.
Okay, so hold on. So I'll tell you what I think.
No. Wait.
Well, okay. Well, I love
And then we're going to do ratings out of 5.
Yo, what's crackalackin, bitch? Your ass is smoking, no results, only excuses. Where we rap fitness, nonsense, and partial facts, yo. Hosts call me Matthew Bauman, and as always, I'll be joined by my co-hosts, Courtney Dick and Quentin Juggernaut Swart.
Quentin!
When did I become Quentin?
I don't know.
And then who's this gentleman over here?
Oh, we have a guest.
We didn't think of a rap name for him.
No, we didn't give you a rap
Glen
name.
Fink.
Glen Fink.
G-Fink.
G-Fink. We'll take
As
it.
Alan says, yeah.
Yeah.
That's from Matt's favourite group, G Units.
G Unit,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I got them a message 50 cents and he wrote that for me.
Thank you, 50.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so the hoes call him Matt Barman. Alright, so that was good. That was Matt's new intro.
Yeah.
We should use that every week.
Yeah, we're gonna put that on the Instagram for a vote to see if people prefer the regular one or
Maybe we'll get some other rappers to write in
the rap
place.
version.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we should get Jack Parra next week.
Yes.
I can't read
A nice Afrikaans one. Justin will read it.
Definitely.
Justin's good. So we got some news today, Justin.
Yeah, in the news we have Obese SA ranked and as the unhealthiest country in the world.
Really?
So there's a little excerpt here. This year, South Africa was ranked as the unhealthiest country in the world by the Indigo Wellness Index.
I have no idea who that is.
An index based on factors such as life expectancy, obesity, depression, and inactivity. Our unhealthy habits led to the Health and Stroke Foundation South
The what?
Africa.
The Heart and Stroke Foundation.
What did I say?
The Health
Health.
and Stroke.
Health.
Yes.
Let's backtrack on that. Our unhealthy habits led to the Heart and Stroke Foundation South Africa, HSFSA,
Oh.
reporting 225 cardiovascular disease-related deaths per day.
That's a lot.
The CEO, Professor Pamela Naidu, says South Africa has one of the highest rates of overweight and obesity in the world, a major contributor to diabetes, which in turn is a risk factor for CVD.
Cardiovascular related deaths.
There we go.
That's why Glenn's here.
225 people a day, that's a lot.
That is an interesting
One
stat.
person is a lot, Courtney.
Yes, we're trying to save
Every
them all.
life matters.
Every life matters.
Well, currently we only have 133 followers, so we're not making much of an impact just yet.
How many of these people have you saved through CrossFit, Justin?
Currently, I would like to think we've saved about 500 members at Cape CrossFit.
Oh, really? From
Yes.
cardiovascular disease.
100%.
Okay, Justin is a lifesaver. He saved 2 days worth of people. So those 2 days of people can be grateful.
Just statistically, that's sad.
Yes.
It's very sad.
So we need a lot of gyms in order to save 100% of these 225 people.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a tough one.
Why is everyone fat and unhealthy? And
I don't know, Sasko Sam is really cheap.
is that it?
Tastes delicious.
You think it's just food?
Have you ever
Bad
had
foods are cheap.
Have you ever had a white bread sandwich with jam on it?
I used to have 4 slices of white bread a day as
Yeah.
a kid growing up.
Yeah.
That was a staple in my lunchbox. And that was considered normal for all kids.
Yes.
Amongst other sort of additions like a little pack of 6 Super C's, a muffin, what else? Normally would get maybe a small 2-block dairy milk chocolate, maybe an apple and a banana, and that would kind of like last until about 10 a.m.
Yeah.
Not even until lunchtime.
Yeah, things have changed there. I used to have just white sandwiches with cheese every day, but now, like, my son, I have to pack his lunch because he's of that age, and we don't make sandwiches anymore. You put like a fruit in there, you put some blueberries and some strawberries,
Some
and,
superfoods.
some I don't know, some things that aren't sandwiches, and
Okay.
like a little bit of protein and a veg in there, and it's different to how we were at school.
Glenn,
Just
what
ate sandwiches.
what was your lunch like back in the day?
Who's Glenn?
So-
we haven't even introduced
Glenn?
him.
G-Fink.
G-Fink.
Okay, let's give a little bit of a background on Mr.
Let's-
Glen Finkel.
alright.
Glenn, maybe you should give yourself a little introduction.
Yeah, I'm not really anyone. Just to be very honest with
He's
you,
just
but
a guy.
who's a guy? Yeah.
You're our first guest. You're our first guest ever.
What an honour. Well,
First
it's an
guest
absolute honour
on
and pleasure to be here.
EP
But
14.
yeah, no, That's great, guys. So my background is I've been just a business owner. I've really been involved in business my whole life. And what's really been exciting is the last business that we started, which is about 5 years ago. And I'm very, very honored and lucky to be part of a business that we co-founded with a world-class obesity specialist by the name of Dr. Eric Westman, who is world-renowned. And I was saying to Courtney earlier on, he's literally like the Muhammad Ali of obesity doctors known around the world.
He punches out all the other doctors.
Yeah, he does. and what's pretty cool, because I don't have any medical background, what's pretty cool is over the last 5 or 6 years, I have probably attended over 100 conferences, medical conferences. And so the information that I've had, I've been exposed to has been absolutely astounding. So you mentioned, why did this all start? Why has there been an upward trend in obesity and in cardiovascular disease, etc., etc. And so it actually, what I'm going to tell you now is not me. I'm just giving you information that I know that is factual.
Yeah. Yes.
So in the 70s, that was the start of the when we vilified fat. Fat became vilified in the 70s. There was a very well-known doctor. I'm not going to go into all the history about it. There was a doctor by the name of his name slips my mind right now, but I'll think of it in a second.
We'll get back to that.
Yeah, but he actually was one of the real causes. There was a study that was done, and he cherry-picked the data, and he was very influential, and this actually led to the low-fat era, where all the doctors and all the governments around the world were vilifying fat. It was taken out of the guidelines, and everyone was having, egg white omelets and cutting it out. People were dying of this. If you were dying of cardiovascular disease, it was linked to the fat that you were eating, and it was absolutely vilified. And so what happened was the food changed, and this was around about the 70s. It's been going for about 50 years. And if you look at the trend lines from when, and the guy's name was Ansel Keys, by the way, so it just slipped my mind. If you look at the trend line has just gone exponentially up in terms of the rates of diabetes and cardiovascular disease. And so the food has changed. The food now didn't contain any fat. Everything was fat-free. Yes. But what they put in its place was sugar. Yeah. So if you go and look at the history of how the food has changed over the last 50 years, the amount of sugar, and I don't know the exact numbers, but we can research it very quickly. If you go look at the amount of sugar that someone from 50 years ago ate compared to the amount of sugar that we eat now, it is like a 600 or 700% increase. It is absolutely disproportionate.
It's unbelievable.
So very recently in 2015, after nearly 50 years of this dogma that fat is the devil and that cholesterol is going to kill you, etc., and you shouldn't eat foods with cholesterol, they actually changed the guidelines, and they're now and America was one of the last countries in the world to change the guidelines. All the other countries had already changed it. That cholesterol is not a factor cholesterol is not a limiting factor in the food anymore. So now there was no more limits put on the amount of cholesterol that you eat. So that's just an interesting fact about you want to know why the rates of incidence has gone up, of diabetes and everything else. And then if you look at the foods that have changed, everything's gone more towards convenience. So you look at everything you were mentioning just now from what you ate. Now you don't make the sandwiches anymore, you make the convenient stuff. And that's what happens. The convenient stuff is made with processed foods and high sugar. And that processed foods and high sugar has led to this epidemic. It's a worldwide. It's not just a South Africa thing, by the way. You look at almost every nation. I actually just did a recent search. Japan and Asia, it used to be one of the healthiest nations in the world, their rates of diabetes, in fact, I think in Thailand specifically, has got the highest rates of diabetes and obesity in Asia.
Yes.
And they were never like that. And so their diet has become westernized. If you look at the Japanese diet, it's become very, very westernized. McDonald's have popped up everywhere.
Yeah.
And so you look at the food that has changed, there's a lot more sugar, and the processed food that people eat, it's absolutely disproportionate. And because we want this convenient lifestyle, it leads us to buying more and more foods that are processed with more sugar in them.
So that answers our question on why South Africa in particular, because we're focusing on South Africa, is now known as an obese country. Maybe it's not very fair to call it the unhealthiest country in the world, based on what you just said. It's a bit of a superfluous comment there. But I will say, I know the listeners right now are dying to hear what was in your lunchbox back in the day.
Yeah, sandwiches. I mean, is white bread or any bread healthy thing to eat. It's not.
Probably not.
But it's a lot better than a lot of the processed foods that we eat today. So the fact is that it's yes, bread is still refined. It's still a refined product. But when you compare it to some of the refined and processed foods today, it's really it's incomparable. But also that was just one meal. You know, the rest of the meals were all home cooked meals. They were all foods. Do you remember going to the you guys are still too young, but when you used to go to the fruit store, they used to give it to you in a box. You used to get your fruit and everything in a box.
Yeah.
You know, everything's changed now. You know, so we would eat real foods. Majority of our meals.
That's coming full circle now, is it not? I've seen some stores going for the naked fruit approach.
No, they're going to. So if you go to Whole Foods, for example, you got a lot of places in America, Trader Joe's, Whole Foods. They don't have plastic packets anymore. They've all got
brown paper bags.
Paper bags, yeah. So, and then just to answer your question, so what was in the lunchbox wasn't that important because the majority of my meals, maybe that was the processed foods, the sandwiches, but the majority of my meals, the breakfast and the dinners, were all real foods. Your parents used to cook and used to have real foods.
Yes.
Now, if you go look at the amount of snacks and convenient foods that we eat, it's just absolutely ridiculous.
Yes. So that's why you look more ripped than Matthew. Because he was having sandwiches for breakfast, lunch and dinner.
So it still falls on then basic convenience, and then it's probably cheaper.
Yeah, and it's cheaper. Yes,
it's cheaper, so it's easy to get to, and it's cheap.
And here's the thing about processed foods. About processed foods, it's all about the marketing and the perception. So you see something that we have been ingrained into believing is the healthier option all the time, and you assume that it's. So if you see a protein bar in the aisle, or majority of people pick that protein bar up and will not look at the back, and if it tastes delicious, they will just assume that is a healthy bar. That is absolute garbage. You can never ever compare that to real food. It's just not. Now we actually make protein bars. We make the healthiest version of protein bars that you can make, but this still doesn't compare to real food. Real food is always going to win over packaged food. It's just the way it is. But our brains tell us that protein bar that we've just eaten is the healthiest option to choose, and it's not.
Out of all the processed foods available.
Yeah, and then there's misinformation. So another bit of misinformation is we think that so many times I'll see someone that's really overweight and they're sitting there and you can see that they really are trying. They're having a low fat a meal and they're having it along with in their breakfast a full glass of fresh orange juice, right? But it's just actually crazy because that we've been brought up to believe eat your oranges, eat your fruit and have your orange juice. The fact is that glass of orange juice contains more sugar, and it's actually the worst kind of sugar. It's fructose. It goes straight to the liver. Doesn't bypass the liver. And that is the worst type of sugar to have.
Yeah.
And people are having it in copious amounts, thinking that they're having the healthier option, when in fact it's just a whole lot of misinformation.
It's a great point.
Yeah.
Of course, I see you've got a couple of things hiding there between your legs. What is that?
Yeah, between my legs.
While
we're recording his lunch.
Looking between my legs, yes.
What is going on there?
So,
now that we're talking about processed sugar.
Let me just make a lot of noise with my things here.
With his lunchbox.
With my lunchbox, yeah. But we're going to be talking about our main topic today, and I thought this was a bit of a fun intro to our main topic. So, if we might as well introduce our main topic. Hey, Matt?
Yes.
So, we asked you guys on Instagram if you've watched the Game Changers movie. Which is a movie all about not necessarily veganism, but vegetarianism, or maybe vegan.
Vegan
specifically. It's pushing
plant-based diets.
Yeah. Veganism very hard.
No vegetarian, just
and
vegan.
It wasn't necessarily it was fighting meat, but it was all pushing on how it can make your performance better.
Yeah,
a lot of it.
So we watched that movie and we asked you guys if you've watched the movie and you had any questions, and Matt will get to that later.
Yeah.
So I went to the Woolies and I bought 3 things. Which all look like delicious little snacks, which look highly processed, and we wanted to find out which of these 3 things is vegan. So we're going to play a little guessing game, and Glen's our expert, so he probably knows already. So we'll play with Matt. We'll play with Matt and Justin.
Okay.
So the first thing is Oreo. You know what an Oreo is?
Yes. First you twist it, then you lick it,
then you dunk it,
then you stick it.
Stick it. When you stick it
on your phone.
So we've got an Oreo, a normal one, like not those funny Oreos. The second one is
the sticking ones.
Not the sticking ones. It's this normal one. Oh, Justin's.
That looks great. What is that thing in the middle there?
This thing in the middle is a coconut ice. It's Brown's Bite coconut ice. It's pink on the top and it's white at the bottom, and I assume it's made from coconut.
That would have cost £5 at the tuck shop back in the day.
Yes.
This costs at Woolies 55 rand.
Yes.
Yes.
That's true. So we've got an Oreo, we've got some coconut ice, and we've got Zang dark caffeinated chocolate.
Okay.
So 1 or 3 or none of these can be vegan. So you're gonna have a bit of a guess, Matt.
Coconut's vegan.
Coconut ice is vegan.
I guess so.
Okay, that's Matt's guess. And these other two?
No. Oh, the chocolate.
The chocolate?
Yeah.
Did you say the chocolate's
But
vegan?
we don't know what's mixed with it.
Oh, I don't know. You just have to look at it. I mean,
That's what's a guess.
We're just
That's
looking
what
at
I
it.
guess.
I'm definitely going with the coconut ice.
Yeah.
as vegan.
Coconut,
Yes.
yeah.
I'm saying the coconut only.
You're saying the coconut?
Yeah, I'm going
Only.
to say the coconut.
Yeah,
only.
me too. Me too.
That's okay. So just for clarity of the viewers who can't see where I'm pointing, these guys are saying that the coconut ice is the only vegan out of these three.
Yeah.
Not the Oreo,
No.
not the Zang dark chocolate. So I've got news for you guys. You guys are entirely wrong.
Really?
You couldn't be more wrong if you tried.
Yes.
So the Oreo is vegan. This Zang dark chocolate is vegan, and the coconut ice has got full cream milk powder in it.
Jeez.
It's not
So,
vegan.
so you know what threw me off is this says it's coated in chocolate. And chocolate's normally made with milk,
Yeah.
which is obviously.
Yes.
Ah, shit,
Yeah.
I didn't think about that.
I just
Yeah.
thought coconut
And I
comes
thought,
from a-
and then I thought this is chocolate as well.
Yes.
I've actually never eaten one of these, so I thought this was chocolate as
Let's
well.
have it.
I just
And,
threw the Oreo
and I'm
out
looking
the
here,
window.
this doesn't have any chocolate in it. So looking
Yes.
at it at face value, it looked like that.
Absolutely.
One. Yeah.
So Oreo is vegan, and Zang dark chocolate, caffeinated chocolate, coffee with chocolate, or chocolate with coffee. It's vegan also. So that actually shows you got to be careful. I mean, nobody would say an Oreo is the healthiest
Of course,
thing in the
because
world.
it's a chocolate
Yeah.
tasting biscuit.
Yeah.
You would assume there's some cocoa.
Nobody would say that
vibes in
this Zang dark chocolate thing is the healthiest thing in the world.
But why are you assuming it's healthy?
No, I'm not. I'm saying no one would say it's healthy,
Yeah,
but it's vegan.
I wouldn't say it's healthy even though it is vegan.
Yeah.
Yes.
So-
I would only consume that if I missed my morning coffee.
Yes. So the point I'm trying to make is, even though we haven't discussed it in the show yet, is that just because something is vegan doesn't mean it's necessarily the healthiest thing in the world.
Okay, where's the burner? Let's throw this all away.
Throw it away. What do
Throw
you
this 500 Rand pack away.
Give that to the car god.
There's conveniently 4 Oreo biscuits in there.
And 4 of us. Glenn's gonna have his first Oreo biscuit today.
Yeah,
So
not
that's
quite.
that's for the show later. But that just shows you that just because something is vegan, firstly, you don't know what's vegan unless you read all the labels, because you guys were 100% wrong. And just because it's vegan doesn't mean it's healthy.
That's it.
Thank you, Courtney. Keeping us on the straight and narrow.
Straight and narrow. Oh, in the news also today, before we get into our main topic, which we've given away now, is the Springboks dietary regime, Matt.
So I'll just read it for everyone.
No, don't read it, just tell us about it.
Oh, goodness. It's going to be the same as reading it.
Give us the concise 80-20 principle we discussed earlier.
Okay, well, firstly, the Boks have their very first full-time dietitian. Okay.
Yeah.
And they've had them over the last... where did she started in May.
Yeah, I can't believe the Springboks have never had a full-time
that is
dietitian.
worrisome.
The guys
Yeah.
are just chowing whatever they wanted.
No, it's not good.
Because-
That's why we've been losing the past 8 years.
I've watched a couple of
Most professional sports teams have a proper dietitian on
Yeah,
board.
I watched Barcelona soccer team. They have a full-time dietitian.
Yeah.
They have full-time everything. So it's
Sky
very-
Sports team, the cyclist team, full-time dietitian.
Full-time.
Very
Full-time. And
strong.
chef.
Yeah. So
Her name is Zinat Simji.
we're gonna tag her.
And I'll quote from her, I'm very strict with them. I do believe that nutrition is something that if you believe the value in it, you'll continue with it. I do an 80-20 policy with the guys. 80% of the time we strive to make the best decisions based on the end of the day. We try to make the best decisions because at the end of the day, they're professional athletes. And 20% of the time, they can enjoy life because they are humans too.
So do you follow this 80-20 principle, Just?
Well, no. I'll be honest. I just want to say, she says, I'm not very strict with them. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if
There's
that
no strict diet in
that
place.
that resonates very well with me. And then at the end of the day, we're considering them to be professional athletes. Like,
Yeah.
I think to get listen, they've just won the World Cup, so maybe we're being a bit too cynical.
She's obviously doing something right.
Yeah, it's
Maybe-
good. This brings our conversation. Though.
Perhaps it's debatable, but I will say this: I'm a firm believer, and I know Glenn would agree with me, that if you dial your nutrition in 100%, you will bear the fruits of better performance.
Yeah.
However, I guess, and I'll say this, the 20% policy here, where the guys get to be human,
Yes.
or live their lives, so to speak, maybe that adds a factor of de-stressing, and that can also be valuable.
Yes,
you know, like
absolutely.
people can be anal about nutrition to the point where they stress themselves out to no end,
Maybe
and
she can't
actually
stop them from partying.
reduce their performance.
But I wonder what that 80-20 actually means. 80% they eat good food and 20% of the time they eat bad food.
They're going to party, on the weekends.
Or it could be that 80% of the time, so when they're prepping for their competition, that they eat 100% good food, and only 20% of the time when they've won the World Cup.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a period of time that they're able to
it's a good point.
Just relax a little bit and have a couple of beers, etc.
It's a good point. I saw on Instagram just yesterday that Sir Khaleesi and his wife Rachel were in Paris eating a burger and a milkshake from Five Guys.
His wife used to be one of your clients, Just?
She trained at Cape Crosswood Foreshore for a while.
Yeah, I remember that.
So there's no strict diet in place. We follow the guidelines in terms of evidence-based nutrition practices. So what would that be in a meal?
So they're not saying we are vegan, we are vegetarian, we are paleo, we are whatever. They're just following what works, basically. The scientific evidence.
So they're eating some whole food, veg, and some meat.
Yeah, that's
you're talking about the Springboks now.
Yeah, what they're saying. Yeah.
There's no strict diet in place.
Yeah.
Perhaps we should tag Zinat Simji and ask her to just simply comment, sort of like what her nutritional beliefs are for a rugby player of that magnitude.
Yeah.
Like, is it more vegan? I doubt it. Is it more paleo? Is it more
just balanced?
And just remember, every sport's going to have a very particular set of nutritional requirements based on the sport.
Yes.
So if you look at a long distance endurance runner, he's going to have a very different set of nutritional requirements to a rugby player or to a 100-meter sprint athlete. It's just completely different.
Well, Simji said that each position would require different nutritional guidelines, but because she started so recent, she's had to just look at it overall.
Right. Start at the beginning. Start at a point.
She didn't have to start now.
You got to be careful with an athlete. Like if think about this, the Springboks have just won. Imagine she came in May and said, right, we're scrapping everything. We're coming in with a new policy and a new approach. I don't care if you don't eat beetroot. You're eating 10 kilograms of beetroot, and I promise you're going to win. And then they lose. You've got to be so careful with her habitual training around any element of
she must be happy now. She's probably getting lots of emails. Please make my lunches or design my lunches.
She's been a huge success, so that's pretty cool.
That's great.
That's the end of the newsy news, and that brings us back to our main topic, which we've already sort of talked about.
We're bouncing around like a pinball machine today. Hey guys,
no,
are we feeling a bit nervous that Glen's amongst us?
We don't know what to do with G-Fink.
Definitely have to be nervous.
We just got this other dude sitting here.
Exactly.
Okay.
So we're going to do a bit of a review of the Game Changers movie, and as always, it starts with our disclaimer, Matt's favourite part of the show.
Oh, hold on.
Read it slowly.
Read it in a professional Rian Kravachen kind of way.
This discussion is for information only and does not constitute medical advice. We are not nutrition experts.
We know fuck all.
Please contact your medical professional and dietitian for more information.
Yes.
Contact Zenith.
Contact Zenith and Glen Finkel.
Don't contact me.
Don't contact Glen.
So everything is, there's the points don't matter. Well, there is no points for this. It's all just don't believe us.
Yes. Yeah, listen, this is a hot topic now, especially in South Africa. It's all over Instagram. People are chatting about it. It's their number one thing to go and watch at home on Netflix. So we thought we would put a couple of thoughts and ideas out there for our listeners, so they can decide for themselves.
Yes.
There we go.
So let me take you through. Firstly, when you watch this movie, it's on Netflix. It's an hour and a half, so you won't be bored for too long. But it's worth mentioning the people behind the movie. There's some big names in this movie. Most notably James Cameron. Matt is a big fan of James Cameron. What's your favourite James Cameron movie?
Oh, Titanic.
What's yours?
No, Terminator 2.
My favourite movie of James Cameron. Avatar.
Do you know
Avatar.
2, 3, and 4 are still coming?
Really?
You mean he's making money from this movie?
So
those movies.
I mean, what is he wasting his time here? He should be working on Avatar.
He made a KIF one called Sanctum, which is they explore the caves, these deep caves, which is really cool.
They find
cool
vegetables
movie,
down there.
A little bit like B-grady, but it was cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they get to the bottom, they just see vegetables everywhere.
He had to turn it into like an actual.
Oh, that's great, Quentin. I mean, I retract my statement then. It makes total sense.
Yeah. But what you need to know about James Cameron is that he also is, along with his wife, he's the founder of a pea protein company.
Okay.
So they make pea protein, which is obviously he's got a bit of an agenda there. Perhaps. There's also Pamela Anderson, who you know from Baywatch and from
Pamela.
Did she feature at the end of the movie?
She was never in the movie.
Okay, I didn't see her there.
Lewis Hamilton, he was in a bit of a montage at the end there, the Formula 1 driver. Novak Djokovic, tennis player. Chris Paul, basketball player. Matt's never heard of him.
Don't know.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, Matt's never seen Pumping Iron.
No, he's never seen.
Justin's never seen
I've never
Pumping
seen Pumping Iron.
Have you seen Pumping Iron?
Yeah.
Hey, there we go.
There we go. Justin's what a loser. And Jackie Chan. Justin's favourite Jackie Chan movie is?
The Tuxedo.
I was going to say Rush Hour. Is that what
Rush Hour?
Rush Hour is Jackie Chan.
I can't say I'm a fan.
The Tuxedo.
Glenn, any favourites?
Nah, I can't say I have.
Any favourite Arnie movies?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Pumping
I
Iron.
say nothing.
Yeah.
This is my
Any
favourite.
favourite Pamela Anderson?
Yeah, these aren't really.
Baywatch. There's
Yeah.
one series.
There's one movie that every guy's
Yeah.
watched.
Is that Barbed Wire?
Barbed Wire.
There's Barbed Wire. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
one of
that's
them.
the only
It's
Pamela
actually
Anderson
two movies.
Is it?
Yeah, Barbed Wire.
Sharknado.
Sounds like a conflict of interest, to be honest. She should stay very far away from barbed wire.
So let me just. I want to add something to that. So you mentioned all the people then. So funnily enough, Dr. Eric Westman has actually just done a review on the Game Changer, which will be on our channel on Monday.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes, but
What is your channel?
Adapt Your Life.
Adapt Your
Life. Yeah.
Adapt Your Life.
No, it's on YouTube.
On
YouTube, okay,
Adapt Your Life. So one of the things that I've been, as I mentioned, I've been to about 100 conferences. One of the things that is very typical of a scientist or a keynote speaker that is really worth his salt is that the minute they start doing a presentation, the first slide that comes up, they list their interests. They list their interests right up front at the beginning of every single presentation that they do. And what was very, very unusual is that this is coming across as a very scientific or sciencey type of movie.
Yes.
Yet they did not list not one of them. And Arnold Schwarzenegger also has, and there's a few others that have interest in a vegan type of businesses.
Correct.
Not one of them listed their affiliates or their potential conflict of interest, which is just not right. Because if you're looking at science, that's what they do. They aim to be totally transparent and give unbiased views.
Yeah. Neutral, essentially.
Yeah.
So luckily for you, I found some of these people's interests who are mentioned in the film and who give evidence. Dr. Dean Ornish, who's author of several books, which is about reversing chronic disease through a plant-based diet. So obviously, he thinks plants are good. Dr. Aaron Spitz, who's author of the Penis Book, which highlights the importance of plant-based diets for penile function.
We'll get to that part.
We'll get to that part. Matt's favorite part of the movie. And then Dr. Robert Vogel, who wrote another book which focuses on plant-based eating. And then Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn, who sells DVDs and programs for reversing heart disease through a plant-based diet.
The fact that he sells DVDs, that's where he's going wrong.
He's at
He's
the
gonna go
robots.
at least get on YouTube.
He's at least at the robots in Paro. You can buy him 20 rand.
Those like faded ones with the white disc inside.
Yes.
Dr. Essel.
And it's been scribbled on it.
Penis Book, DVD, the DVD. So like Glenn said, they didn't say any of that in the movie, but we had to do deep research to find out.
But going back to, like you said, no one reads the things on the back of products, but they'll buy it because it's flashy.
Yes.
And it's at the
but what I'm saying is it should be mentioned. So the doctors don't put it on their slides. They actually mention.
Should be there
They actually mention. Yeah, they really do. Like for example, if you watch so one of the things that we're pretty big on, if we're going to try and learn something, is we want to read studies. We want to see which different types of studies there are, and understand them. The studies, first of all, have to list. For example, if you're reading a study has to actually list who paid for the study, who the benefactor, who the beneficiary was, right?
Yeah.
And who paid for the study, right? So that'll tell you a lot about the study. So for example, I'm not going to mention specifics, but if you are reading, for example, a study on a statin drug, but it's actually paid for by the pharmaceutical company who makes the statin, in my understanding is that can be used as marketing material.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
And that's something that our best friend Greg Glassman always goes on about. He says that a lot of these studies are paid for by people in the industry who have an interest in making the study come out in their favor. So it's always something to look out for. So, in case you haven't watched the movie, let me tell you a bit of the storyline. It starts with a fighter. He's a UFC fighter and he does training of self-defense, and his name is James Wilkes.
This James Wilkes, did you guys know him before you watched it?
Never heard of him.
He won the Ultimate Fighter. He's actually a very, very good athlete.
So he was popular.
No, he was very popular, and he's honestly he's a first-rate fighter. He's really, really brilliant. Yeah, very, very good.
He damaged
very well respected.
Yeah. He damaged both of his knees by sparring with a heavyweight.
That's right.
Heavyweight
champion. That's right.
Yeah.
But he's an excellent athlete.
So he messed up his knees, and then he started trying to find ways to recover himself. Apparently,
I think that's commendable in itself. Like I appreciated that part of the movie. I was like, I can relate to being injured, maybe a bit disillusioned, a bit emotional about what has transpired, being a previous champion, not me, him, of course, and then wanting to really believe that there was a superior way of achieving supreme health, you know. And I think maybe we can have a final debrief on the movie, but you know, you might find that he got a little bit lost in that journey and trying to, you know, convince himself that there was this unexplored way of approaching one's diet.
Yes. So what made it even more of an emotional journey for him is that his father was also diagnosed with cardiovascular disease of some sort.
So another emotional stinger.
Well, they dropped that in a bit later, at the end.
So he was really invested in trying to find this way to change his own life around through his injury, after his injury, and also save his dad's life. So you can imagine it's a difficult thing for him. And he was trying to find out whatever. And I'm not sure how he got in contact with the filmmakers to make this movie. They don't explain that, and there's probably a backstory there. But yeah, that's how he did it. So he's featured all these other average and above average athletes who are not, some of them are not world beaters, but they're there and thereabouts. So there's a medium to long distance runner. I forget his name.
He runs far.
He runs very far for a long time. I've also never heard of him. He's not that well known.
Yeah, so they're all kind of fringe.
They're good, but they're not they're not Michael Phelps. Yeah. So there's this runner guy. There's an Australian 400 meter champion. Also, she's not a world champion. She's an Australian champion. There's a USA cyclist who did win an Olympic gold as part of a team. There's Kendrick Ferris, Matt's favorite weightlifter.
Oh, definitely my favorite.
definitely a weightlifter to unfollow on Instagram.
Yes.
And so he's decent. He's been to the Olympics, but he's not a world champion. And then I actually saw something interesting from Meredith Root, who's also a CrossFitter. Mm-hmm. And she did a bit of a review, and she said they forgot to mention Ilya Ilyin, who we all know is one of the best weightlifters of all time, and he's also vegan. But unfortunately, he got popped for steroids, so they decided not to mention
talk about him.
No, I'm pretty sure they would have. So they left him out of that. I heard an interesting story about Ilya. Someone who was staying with him at World Champs. They were staying in the same hotel, and Ilya was eating cake for breakfast, just a normal slice or two of cake.
Yeah.
And this person's thoughts about this was, some of these guys, they have genetics, and maybe Glenn, you can come in here. They have genetics that are so good that they somehow manage to transform all the rubbish that they eat into performance. And obviously using a whole lot of anabolic steroids helps a lot.
Yes.
But we need to be very careful about looking at the diets of outliers and making and bringing that same logic to average Joes like me. If I eat cake for breakfast, there's no way I'm going to clean and jerk 230 kilos. But some of these guys have genetics that are maybe superior.
I've heard that one before, and I think there's a big misconception around that. That even in the CrossFit circles, like for example, there's been some footage capturing Rich Froning on a few occasions eating slices of pizza between events.
Yeah.
And then people get lost in the threads on Instagram saying, "Oh well, if Rich is eating pizza after a training session, I guess I can as well," and that becomes like a lifestyle element. So every Wednesday after training, someone's eating pizza. I don't agree with that.
Yeah.
So let me tell you my thoughts. So my thoughts are when you are doing sport to an absolute extreme. So obviously before I started CrossFit, I was very competitive in cycling, and I had a coach for quite a few years. And the coach that I had, Jaco Ferreira, one of the best cyclists in the country, especially in his age division, won essays multiple times, and a guy that I really looked up to, really followed the science. His training, his coaching was incredible, all power-based, just really an unbelievable coach altogether. His knowledge was extreme. And I remember finishing we're doing a camp together, and I remember him ordering food. I ordered the healthy option, and I remember him ordering burgers, fries. You can't believe the plate of food that came. I was absolutely shocked, but luckily for me, I have an inquiring mind. Instead of me just being shocked and saying nothing, I actually said to him, "Well, what's going on? Why are you eating this food?" And the explained to me that during these intense, extreme, competitive events, to be honest with you, yes, your diet is everything, and maybe that's where that lady was talking about the 80-20 rule, because when you've just completed a 5-hour intense ride, you eat a burger, it's really going to do absolutely nothing to you. When you give that same burger to a sedentary person that's now insulin resistant and pre-diabetic or diabetic, it's going to have a huge impact on it. If you give it to someone like you that's having it and it's in conjunction with a massive event that you're doing, it's going to make an impact on you. But you give it to a person that's just finished a race or competing or he's about to do that thing just gets inhaled and literally does zero to you. It's basically just food. I understand you can't eat that on a sustainable basis day in, day out to make, that'll obviously have an impact. But when they have the odd piece of cake or a burger and fries or whatever the story is in relation to the workout that they've just done or about to do, it just is nothing.
Yes.
It just goes in the furnace and burns up.
It goes in the furnace and gets incinerated.
It becomes more a story of calories.
Exactly.
I need X amount of calories.
Exactly.
What's the fastest way
and
I
it's
can
carbs.
get
Yes, carbs. You get good carbs and bad carbs. In his particular case, he didn't cage one of the carbs in. It was after the ride. He wanted to refill his glycogen levels, and he did the job.
Yes.
But that shouldn't be the mentality for anybody else. And that's not like, hey, now I'm a competitive athlete. After every hard training session, I need to have that food.
Yes.
I'm just answering the question.
Yeah.
Why? You mentioned Matt Fraser and you mentioned somebody else.
No, Froning.
It was a Froning.
Yeah,
okay.
Froning,
and it's absolutely acceptable on the odd occasion for these guys to have that.
But I do feel it gets misconstrued, unfortunately.
Because people will say, oh, Richard Froning had the cake. He eats cake. Now that's gone to I saw him eating cake. He eats cake before every workout.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's not the case.
Yeah. So I think people extrapolate it and they'll be like, okay, I just did a lunchtime class at CrossFit. I did a 20-minute workout. I can also
go eat anything.
I think some people, unfortunately, they choose what they want to believe.
Yeah.
Perception becomes reality.
Yeah.
Like, I really actually want to eat cake, and I saw someone else eating cake,
yes.
so I'm going to go buy myself a cake.
Yeah.
It's
I promise you,
sad way of thinking.
These top athletes do not eat cake all day long. I promise you.
Yeah. So there's some other people there. There's a strongman man. I forgot his name.
He looks like a nutcase.
He looks like a big Wolverine.
Yeah, big sideburn man. There was another boxer, also not a world-beating boxer, a strongman. He's never won the world's strongest man. He never will. Arnold Schwarzenegger. He says veggies are nice. Veggies are nice. And then there's a giant bodybuilder man, also probably with really good genetics, and he's an outlier. Like, he's not Phil Heath. He hasn't won Mr. Olympia 7 times or whatever. He apparently doesn't take drugs. He's a natural bodybuilder. And then there's the big draw card of the show, which is this fight between Conor McGregor and Nate Diaz.
I think this is where things took quite a turn for me in the show, to be honest.
Yeah.
But please continue.
Yeah. So there was Conor McGregor was going to fight some other guy, and Conor McGregor lost a lot of weight to be in the same weight class as this other guy. He lost like 30 pounds to fight this other guy. But then this other random man pulled out. So they had to find a replacement, and the replacement they found was Nate Diaz. Now the problem is that Nate Diaz is a couple of weight classes heavier than Conor McGregor.
2, to be precise.
2 weight classes. So Conor had to rapidly gain weight to fight against this guy. So he just stuffed his face with meat and whatever he could.
Enjoy steaks.
Yeah, I think Conor even said he was having at one point up to 2 steaks a day.
Yeah.
So you know what the problem that I have with the movie is that you can see that it's a promotion rather than the discovery of science.
Yeah.
Because why didn't the movie just say that 6 months later Conor went on to beat
the guy,
the same guy?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
you know,
that is so relevant.
So I mean, like, why do they leave something like that out? Why, if you're going to be impartial, why don't you just say the facts? Okay.
They're hoping that 50% of the people watch it just take it.
Yeah. So Conor beats him the second time round. That's number 1. Here's the next little bombshell. Nate Diaz is not a vegan. He's a vegetarian. He eats fish and he eats eggs.
Okay.
Yeah.
They didn't say that in the
movie. They didn't say that in the movie either.
Very selective.
So isn't that just incredible how that you can now see the movie, and there's not just this. We can go on and on and on and on. And if you look at, I encourage everyone that's watching this to first of all go and watch our video that's coming out on Monday, but also go and watch Joe Rogan had a podcast that aired. I just sent you the link.
Send me the link. I got it.
The podcast aired with a guy called Chris Kresser, who is just an absolutely respected, intelligent guy with regards to, I mean, he just searches for the science. It's probably one of the best podcasts I've ever listened to. It was specifically a review on the Game Changers, and if you think I'm telling you 1 or 2 things that just literally is just holes all over the place. Does this mean that a vegan diet can't work? No. Does it mean that a vegan diet can't be a healthy part of someone's diet? No. It just means that people have been very, very selective about the athletes that they chose, the stories that they told, and the so-called science that they used. But there's holes all over the place. the fact is they, made a statement that a plant-based diet is better for everybody. It's an absolute nonsense. It's just not true at all. It might be good for some, but it is definitely not a statement that any scientist would ever make. They don't make statements like that. It's an unscientific statement to make.
Yeah. So we've gone through some of the science, and we did a little bit of research, and Glen's going to help us out here today. Because we're not scientists, we're not nutrition experts.
Neither am I, by the way.
Glen is a nutrition expert, at least. He's been to 100 seminars.
Exactly. Now I'm an expert.
He's listened to at least some of them. He's fallen asleep in quite a few.
Yeah.
So there was a doctor for an American football team who says that energy comes from carbohydrates, and if you swap carbs for protein, you're going to be pretty tired all the time.
Well, that's an absolute, so again, why would you miss out so that's one way of getting energy, but what about the fact that we get energy from fat? So everybody, even people so obviously keto diet is now a massive trend at the moment, which relies mostly on fat. But even people that have a diet filled with meat and vegetables, our bodies use both carbohydrates and fat. I think it's a ratio for a person that eats both. I think it's 30% comes from fat and the rest comes from carbohydrates. But when you restrict the carbohydrates, your body runs on fat. I mean, there's documentaries on the other spectrum. So there's two documentaries. One's called Serial Killers 2, where there was a whole documentary on a guy that rode from California to Hawaii running on just fat, no carbohydrates.
Yes.
Why do they leave this out the movie? Why are they so selective about, just one aspect? We have to have carbohydrate. That is absolute rubbish. There are people that run the Comrades Marathon, the Leadville 100 in America. They run it on fat alone. They don't even have carbohydrates in their juice. They run on water. So to make a statement that we only run on carbohydrates is just a flat out lie.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty cool one. And there's another statement in there that says that all protein originates from plants because cows eat plants. So we should just skip the middleman.
That sounds very watered down.
Well, here's the next thing. Do you know that cows are one of the very few animals that actually, from eating grass, they have a mechanism that turns that nutrients into protein that we don't have?
Really?
No. But they didn't tell us that in the movie.
They have 4 stomachs.
Yeah. But they turn their carbohydrates into protein.
Okay.
Right.
And we don't do that.
But we never heard that in the movie.
No, I've never heard that
Funny
before in my life. Okay.
Yeah.
So we can't skip the middleman. Don't skip the cows. Then there's another statement which I think was pretty easy to debunk, where it says that plants contain all the essential amino acids. And I think that is true, but there is no single plant that contains all the essential amino acids.
So
you have to eat a wide variety of plants.
I'll tell you where the take-home message of that is. So I don't know the names of these things. We can, if you watch the Joe Rogan show, you'll hear the specific names.
We'll put the link in the description below.
But there is a mechanism to test the bioavailability of a particular protein. So you can test the bioavailability of a collagen, of a meat protein, of a fish protein, all the different proteins, and they measure it in a particular unit. Okay, so what's pretty interesting is that collagen is available at a rate of 1.6. I think lean beef meat is available at 1.3. The beans and lentils that are the highest form of protein that they were mentioning, the bioavailability is 0.3 and 0.4. Okay, so when they talk about protein is not all created equal.
Yes.
So when it's having protein, just because of something contains protein does not mean that is bioavailable to your body, and your body is able to access that protein.
Yeah.
So all proteins are different, and we access them differently.
Yeah. Yes.
And plants, you'd have to have ridiculously crazy amounts of eating these plants for your body to try and use the same amounts of protein that you would from a 3-ounce piece of steak, for example.
Meat conveniently contains all of these amino acids.
Yes, absolutely.
I also read that somewhere that you need a lot more plant protein to get the same amount of protein into your actual system.
Yeah, I was watching the
Can you foresee yourself eating like 3 black bean tacos at night?
So they actually did the comparison in the Joe Rogan show. They did a comparison. They said a 3-ounce piece of steak contains the same. If you had to have peanut butter, the protein from that, you'd have to have a half a cup in your sandwich.
That's unbelievable.
A half a cup.
That's unsustainable.
It's to the equivalent of they were comparing the lean beef.
So if you haven't seen that part of the show, there's a show where they just drop the mic and they say something and they really cut away from it very quickly. They say a peanut butter sandwich has the same protein as a 3-ounce steak. And then they quickly just cut to another section.
They just didn't tell you how much.
Yeah. Before you think about it, you're
half a jar of peanut butter.
What? So you have to have apparently.
If I ate half a jar of Black Cat peanut butter, my mother would ground me.
Your lips would be stuck together.
100%. She'd say, my boy, that's it. No more peanut butter for you for the next 3 months.
Yeah. So you can't eat that much peanut butter. And then there's the other thing. About drinking beet juice, which I've heard before. Just you also told me something about beet juice.
Yeah, there's been actually I think this is probably one of the most sort of interesting topics that are being explored in sports science circles and sports nutrition.
Yeah.
First time, what did they say, Courtney?
So if you drink some beet juice, which a beet, what's the full name for a beet?
A beetroot.
A beetroot. If you drink some beetroot juice, it makes you bench press 19% more, or something like that.
Yeah,
that sounds like a very shady study that was done.
Apparently, I've heard this before somewhere. It's been doing the rounds for a
while. Here's the thing: saying something and being able to prove something is quite different. So, for example, in the movie, you had the guys showing the 2 vials of blood. The one ate a meat-based product, and and then they had the cloudiness in the vials, right?
In the urine. Was it the urine or the blood?
No, it's the blood.
The bloody NFL players
isn't the blood. Isn't the blood? First of all, that's not how science is done. Science is not done by you taking a thing and science has got to be replicatable. You've got to be able to show the results. You've got to be able to then let other people get the same results as you.
Yes.
You cannot just take someone's opinion, oh, this is what happened, and they were surprised. The second thing is, who says that cloudiness of eating after you've eaten the meat, the cloudiness of that blood is bad for you? Why is clear good and cloudiness is bad? It's absolute nonsense.
I mean, that's how I grade the clarity of my pool.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's the same standard that I would use for outside.
You've got a movie that's going on about the science, and for the layperson that looks scientific. Oh, he took blood. He's got a vial, and it looks like the one's cloudy, and we programmed to believe clear is always. But that's not a scientific experiment. And when you say that beet juice gives you 19%, the movie says that beet gives you 19%, well then show me the study. Show me the study that's been peer reviewed and it's been placed in a journal for everyone to go and critique it and see and try to replicate the results. Saying something means nothing.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of anecdotal evidence in this movie that they've passed off as science.
And it's very sciencey. So the average person's going to see that and say, oh, that movie's full of science.
Yes, exactly.
But it's just everyone's personal experiences.
I think what prompted me to suggest that we talk about this today is just observing some people in our sort of local CrossFit community that is South Africa, and I've noticed that they're starting to adopt strictly vegetarian or strictly vegan principles in their diet, as if this Game Changers has now set a precedent, and they are convinced that their life is going to become better, or their performance within their given sport is going to improve.
Well, let's see how many PBs we get.
Yeah, let's see how many PBs we get. It worries me because now they're becoming like micro influencers about a topic that they are not deemed as being professionals in. I mean, and I just want to read something that I found quickly on that note last night. I took a screen grab of it. And this individual said, super chuffed with my overhead squats, felt comfortable with these, 5 sets of 1, He's obviously doing his CrossFit program. Over a month on plants only, and I'm feeling good and strong. So he's obviously doing a personal experiment.
Yeah.
And
nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that. Maybe he is, and maybe he is absolutely feeling stronger. But then he starts referencing Game Changers, and he says, my takeaway from Game Changers was that you can still be strong and fit without meat. And now, again, he's becoming a micro-influencer to other people on a movie which is not steeped in science.
I think he should wait a year to come back to us with his...
You know what I mean? That's worrisome for me. And it's like, you can still make gains on plants. Everyone has their abilities, and if we can reach those without animal products, then why not? Which I think is steering into another topic of conversation, like save the animals. I think that's one thing that I read an article, which we will also post in our show notes, which was saying that veganism at its core was developed partly as a movement to protect the animals that we were...
It's an ethical movement.
Yes, we were slaughtering, overproducing, damaging the environment through, and as a result, we have to first change our diet in order to achieve that. It's a long-winded process. But again, are we doing this because it's for performance?
I got to interrupt.
Or are we doing this for
I have to
Please,
interrupt.
please.
Because here's another fact that most vegans do not know, and you guys don't know it. Obviously, I'm going to tell you the story.
Tell us.
So they've actually done studies.
We know nothing.
They've actually done studies on this. They've actually done studies. What they've done is they've taken the impact, looked at the impact on plant-based agriculture versus animal agriculture to see what constitutes more deaths. So this is going to probably shock you. So per year, plant-based agriculture accounts for 7.4 billion animal deaths.
Boom.
Which is, by the way, ridiculously more than the animal-based deaths. You're going to ask why.
No.
So when we take the lands and we get rid of the lands for GMO crops and all these kind of crops, we have to use fertilizers, kills the amount of mice, ducks. If you do a quick search there, Justin, saying animals killed using plant agriculture, you're going to start seeing articles that the levels of animals that are killed as a result of plant agriculture, the ducks, the poison that we use, the fertilizers that we use, the fish, the runoff that goes into the waters that kills the fish, the insects that die. And so then you're going to say to yourself, but what does that mean? So these are small animals, right, versus the big animals. And how do we say, oh, well, a big animal life is worth more than they don't? There's no distinction. But the real fact of the matter is that plant agriculture accounts for more deaths than meat agriculture. 7.4 billion deaths alone a year.
Yeah.
Yes,
no one knows that. No one knows that.
Let's talk about vegetable agriculture.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what you're referencing now. Here's what Google says. The multi-million-dollar federal wildlife killing program targets wolves, coyotes, cougars, birds, and other wild animals for destruction, primarily to benefit the agriculture industry.
There you go. But guess what? Most vegans do not know this. They do not know this. So they're actually on a crusade of trying to save the world, and in fact, they're doing more harm. But they don't even know it.
But I'm not eating meat, so therefore the poor coyote is safe.
And the ducks, and the fish, and the rats, and the mice, and the insects.
Yeah, I like coyotes.
So it's ridiculous. So I think we've got to go back to the point, and the point is, why are you striving to be a vegan or a vegetarian or anything else?
I'm going to read out disclaimer again.
Yes, don't listen to anything we have to say. No, but the facts are the facts. Look, so we're just here to present our evidence. So I think if we look, there's some holes in the science, in inverted commas, in the movie, but there are some positives to take away. So there are some things that we can learn from opening our minds to different ways that people do things. So I think some of the positives that we can take away, Glenn, firstly, the obvious one, eat whole foods. I think if you go away, if you distill the advice in the movie down to it, it comes down to what Glenn was saying at the beginning: avoid processed foods, eat more whole foods.
Yeah. So what they did is a lot of these studies, they take a person that's eating the standard American diet. It's abbreviated to SAD, the SAD diet, actually. Funnily enough. And what happens is you take these people off the standard American diet, which is known that over the last 50 years, the obesity, like I said, the obesity rates, the diabetic rates have gone through the roof, and you stick them onto anything that's real food. Of course, you're going to see improvements. There's no question about it. But that's the short term.
Yeah.
So what we're saying is, what are the long-term benefits, and also what are the comparisons? I'm not saying that a vegan diet isn't good for some people. There are some people that it clearly is very, very good, and they get good athletic performance. But what is the ultimate diet for the majority of people? And my opinion is that it's not that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Eat a varied diet.
I want to just quickly, Courtney, I like what you said now. It just reminded me of something that Ben Bergeron said 2 days ago on Instagram. You can check it out. You'll find a post with a whole bunch of chicken and some vegetables sprinkled in. And he just says, eat real food, not too much, mostly plants. Fruit and vegetables are great, and so is animal protein. And yes, I have seen game changers. Just realize that sourcing matters. try to find organic, free-range, grass-fed, and wild-caught. I get all my meals from another company.
Yeah.
So, like,
there you have it.
Yeah.
That's his opinion. It's a very concise.
We are omnivores. We have the intestines of omnivores. They mention in the movie, I think they speak about a gorilla, right? We've done it the teeth of a gorilla, right?
Yeah, longer intestines and all that
but the fact is we have the insides of a carnivore. We do not have the insides of a herbivore.
Yes.
They don't mention that in the movie.
Mention that in the movie. But
they speak about teeth.
But to all the CrossFitters out there who are wanting to be big and buff, they look at that gorilla and they're like, I'd like to look like that.
Yeah.
And I'd also like to eat 10 tons of spinach. Right? They think like the reality of what that shot is suggesting. It's suggesting that just because a gorilla is big and strong and he eats this, then therefore I will look
What about
like
Bambi?
this.
Refer them to Bambi.
Yeah.
They can either look like the gorilla or Bambi.
Or Bambi, yeah.
Or Bambi.
Bambi eats grass too,
Yeah, exactly.
Right? I mean, the other statement they make was, how do you become as strong as an ox, Courtney?
You don't eat meat. Ox only eat grass.
That blew my mind. At that point, I pushed pause.
I'll just say, how do you become a bunny?
There we
Just eat bunny food.
Just eat bunny food.
Yeah.
There we go.
That's said. Some other guy said, "Who's the king of the jungle?"
The lion.
The lion.
Yeah,
exactly.
Only meat.
That's it. And he shreds it. He eats it wildly.
All these animals.
I feel like
That's how Justin
I
eats.
resonate more with a
That's
lion.
how Justin eats. He messes everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah. But look, so there are ethical concerns, and Matt and I were talking about it earlier. The way animals are treated in some of these battery farms for chickens and the way cows are treated, there are obviously ethical concerns. So there's nothing wrong with cutting down some of your meat sources that come from dodgy sources, and I don't think there's a problem with that. I don't think anyone's debating that. Yeah. Another one of my takeaway: learn how to cook vegetables. Yeah, just very important for you.
Yes, I mean, I'll be honest, Chelsea does most of the cooking.
Yeah.
I still need to
You do most of the
invest some
microwaving.
time in that department.
Yeah. He's an expert microwaver.
But I think there is a lot of value that comes with spending some time in the kitchen and preparing your food if you take an interest in it. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I think a large part of not eating vegetables is that they just don't taste very nice. Matt loves a sweet potato.
Sweet potato's good. Broccoli's good too. I like broccoli.
Yeah.
I don't like peas. Oh no.
Really?
Dan, what's your favorite go-to vegetable?
Sure. Butternut.
Butternut?
Yeah.
Do you know?
Butternut's
Do you know what's my favorite?
Butternut's
My
a
latest
Mushrooms.
favorite.
Mushrooms.
Butternut, beetroot, feta with a couple of what do you throw on top there? Those seeds,
Yeah.
Pumpkin seeds.
like pumpkin seeds
Yeah.
and pine nuts. Do you know
Yeah.
pine nuts? You know how expensive pine nuts are?
Yes.
Listen, if you said to me, Justin, do you want to become a vegan? And I got super amped, and I said, yeah, sure. And then I went to Woolworths and I saw the price of pine nuts. I'd cancel right there and then. I'd backtrack immediately. Pine nuts cost almost $100.
Where do you get a pine nut from?
Crazy.
A pine tree?
I don't know, Courtney.
I don't know.
It's an animal's. It's a piece of animal.
The testy of a mouse.
Yes.
So some other takeaways are carbs are not evil, which is also a big thing that was a couple of years ago where everyone said carbs are evil, don't eat carbs, low carb is everything. And I think that we've shown that's not true. Carbs are not evil.
I'd like to interrupt there.
Come on.
So,
Dan.
so carbs are not evil. You are right, but to some people they are. So who are those people? Those are not your average CrossFitter, your average triathlete or runner or cyclist. The guys that are performing at the front end of the stick, so to speak. Those are not the people that I'm talking about. But if you are insulin resistant, or you have type 2 diabetes, or you have metabolic syndrome, then carbs are very much the enemy. And eating carbs is poison for those people. However, for other people like us, like I eat carbs. I do eat carbs.
Yeah.
I think that carbs are great, and I think that in an optimal diet, they shouldn't be eaten in disproportionate portions. They should be eaten in the right kind of ratios.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, listen, I just want to interject there quickly. That's obviously a whole nother topic of conversation,
topic,
which I would love to in the future get Glenn on board to discuss if our listeners care to listen, which they should.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's great.
Okay. So there's the next thing. This heart, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a cardiologist. This heart disease is always something that I worry about because people seem to die of heart disease often,
Courtney, you are a heartbreaker, man.
A heartbreaker, yes.
I spoke to Alana the other day. She said
really?
Courtney is one to look out for.
There we go. So tell all the ladies. But is eating more plants beneficial for your heart?
No. Yeah, watch this. Justin put the link of the all the science is there. They actually specifically talk about this. Don't use the link I gave you because that link. So whoever's watched the Joe Rogan show, there's like a 2-hour portion of the video, and then they cut that video into like 15 different segments.
Oh, okay.
I gave you just one segment of the video.
Cool. So
if you find the full one, which I'll send to you,
yes,
watch the full one. They speak about everything, and they actually have got studies on this kind of stuff. Specific studies about cardiovascular health, cancer, linked to meat, and all the things that we've been read in the You magazine, the People magazine, and we all of a sudden think we're experts. It's all there in the science with proper peer-reviewed journals, robust science that have been done recently, not old science. So that link will be in your description, and you can
and you guys can tell us how you saved your heart.
Yeah,
definitely.
And then the other takeaway, my last takeaway, is that it doesn't have to be an either or kind of thing. You don't have to be vegan or paleo or keto or this or that. You should probably try and be more balanced in your dietary approach.
I agree.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah.
Everything in moderation, Courtney.
Everything
That's
in
what my
moderation.
mother taught me growing up.
Yeah, so you can apply that to the 10-year anniversary tomorrow evening.
Yes.
He's not going to apply that.
Well, I'll tell you what's going to happen at that party. Matthew's going to arrive. He's going to have 20 beers, and I'm going to have one.
Oh, really?
And Matthew's going to try and make me have 19 more.
He's going to throw them over his
throws
shoulder.
them over his shoulder, yeah.
That's what's going to happen.
He's famous for that. He
Famous.
throws things over
He
his
just
shoulder.
throws it into other people's days.
Open your mouth, guys. Here we go.
Yeah. So that's all we have on the Game Change. Before we do our little review on the movie, anything else to add before we do our little review out of 5?
I just wanted to ask you, Courtney, did you comment on the iceberg lettuce?
The iceberg lettuce, yes.
Did you comment on that?
No, we didn't talk about the iceberg lettuce.
That is profound for me, because I think that just puts this entire show, if you want to call it, documentary, under the spotlight.
Yeah.
It says that even iceberg lettuce has more antioxidants than salmon or eggs. Now, while that might be true, I really don't know. The point is this: why would you want to compare iceberg lettuce to salmon and eggs? You know, like, iceberg lettuce is a leaf with a little bit of water in it, and in terms of bioavailability that you were talking about earlier, like, how much iceberg lettuce would you need to consume
that's
to
the main problem.
sustain your system, where you could maybe go and catch a freshwater salmon and 2 wonderful, glorious eggs?
Yeah.
You know, like, that just, I think that is too summarized for it to be have any value in terms of a scientific study. I mean, Courtney, your words here is face-smackingly stupid.
That's someone else's words from the internet. I think that was Meredith Root.
Okay, well, Meredith, I appreciate you.
Yeah.
Because I agree with that.
And also what she said is that you're just discounting the other valuable parts of the salmon.
I think that's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, human beings can be oversimplified in their minds sometimes. You think of a lettuce in your hand and you think of a salmon and you're like, salmon or lettuce? You definitely want to take the salmon. But because we're isolating perhaps the one element of a poor old iceberg lettuce that might be more than the salmon, we continue to just devalue it completely.
Yeah.
I get it makes my blood boil.
Yeah. So okay, we're gonna get to the end now, and we're gonna give it ratings out of 5. Justin's gonna give everything 5 because he's just positive, Mr. Positivity.
I don't know about that today.
Not sure. Okay, he's breaking his streak. Okay, so information out of 5. We'll go for Glen last because he's gonna give it 1.
You think so?
I don't even know if I'll give it 1.
So Matt, information out of 5.
Information out of 5. Well, it's not all false, huh?
It's not all false. There's some information in there.
And then all they're just lacking is giving you a scientific,
a balanced view.
But you can go find those articles that they talk about.
Yeah.
They do cite it like little codes in the corner of each thing.
Yeah. Has this movie made you think about things more critically?
Then if you go into production as a point.
Oh yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there.
So has it made you think about more critically? Yeah, I guess so. I don't know.
Five.
What's it out of 5?
Out of 5. How much out of 5 has this movie made you think more critically about your diet?
1.
1. Just?
I feel like we've been very critical, so I'm gonna give it a 5.
I think I'm
it's provocative. I mean, can we give that? Can we make that a statement? How provocative is this movie? It's very provocative.
It's a 5.
For me, it's just like a documentary.
Yeah,
just fluff. You could tell from the beginning that they're just trying to do their job as a documentary. Yeah. So it doesn't make me think much at all.
Guys, do you know what comes to mind? That scene where he's moving with the battle ropes. And he says, in my gym, you get your name written on the board if you move the battle ropes for 20 minutes.
10 minutes.
No, 20. I think it was 10. His
record was 10.
His record was 10. And he's like, you get your name if it's for 20. And then he's smiling. Yeah. He's like, and then I started going for 40 minutes.
You know what I thought
and then I started going for 60 minutes.
You know what I thought of that moment? I swear, I'm telling you the truth. You know what I thought of that moment?
What?
He needs to come to a CrossFit class. I want to see if he's got that same smile after he does one of our
I'm telling you now, that scene was so staged.
Yeah.
I could not believe it.
Yeah.
What about G.I. Joe at the end?
Yes.
Okay,
anyway.
So information, I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5 because it made me think about my diet more critically. Even if it made me learn all these things.
Sure.
That I didn't know before.
Sure.
I had to find out they were wrong. So it's made me learn. So I give it a 3 out of 5. Okay.
So what's the first one?
Information.
I'd say the information was not presented well. I'd give it a 1.
1 out of 5.
Yeah.
Okay. Production, Matt.
Oh, they produced well.
So
they got so the whole overall was done well. Then they pulled on your heartstrings with Dad, and then they had a few shocking scenes with the blood part, the boner part,
your favorite part,
and then the whole started off with the Romans 8 gladiators.
Yes.
Onion veg and.
So hang on, you say that it was quite creative.
Yes, it was good, well produced. It did the job of what documentaries do, and it's trying to sway you. And anyone who doesn't sit there, think logically, and think, "Oh, maybe I should, go Google it or something," they're just like, "Yeah, cool.
Yeah,
it'll be cool."
I'm gonna give it a 3.
Big advert.
Yeah, I want to give it a 3. I want to give it a 2 because so much of it was staged and staged as if it was like real life footage.
Yes. Okay.
But it was still produced well. It was staged. The production, it was produced well, even though it was staged.
Okay.
So Justin's giving it a 2. Matt's giving it a 5.
A 4.
A 4. Glen, production.
Yeah, I think it was pretty slick. I'd give it a solid
Slick's
4.
a good word.
Yeah, I'd give it a solid 4 there.
Okay. I'm also going to give it a 4 for production. Justin, you disregard your score. As last week.
Sure. No problem.
Points don't matter.
The points don't matter. Entertainment out of 5. Were you entertained by this movie?
No, I was not entertained.
No.
I was easily sitting there going like, it's just following the template of other documentaries.
Yes.
The thing is, I don't like, it's also subjective because I didn't really watch documentaries. I rather watch, the one I remember enjoying was a documentary about how plants, like time lapses of plants and how clever they are. Like things like that. And it's proper science, like how a creeper follows a guide and stuff like that. That's like real information stuff.
Yeah.
This is just very well done thing to push an agenda on how veggies make athletes
so
good.
The movie didn't make you want to keep watching more and more of it.
No, I was on my phone a bit.
Yes. So it's a 1. 2. Entertainment, Justin, were you entertained? Are you entertained?
Yeah, when I saw the likes of Arnie start materializing, it started getting interesting, so I give it a 3.
What's interesting is finish.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty entertaining. I'll give it a 4 again.
4? Yeah. I thought it was very unentertaining. It was a terribly boring movie for me. I give it a 2. 2 out of 5.
You prefer animation, hey Courtney?
Yes. Japanese.
Anime or animation?
Japanese
animation. You rather watch Bob Wire.
Bob Wire. We'll put the link in the show notes.
And you see Arnie's segment was so short.
Yes.
It's like they paid him less to be there.
Yeah.
Like, they paid him he was so too expensive, so they didn't. He was there for like doop, gone.
$1 million an hour.
I need to quickly step out.
Yeah.
Justin, where are you going? We're busy here.
In the middle of the podcast.
Why's this guy leaving?
He's bringing in something, I'm sure.
This guy has better things to do. Again, for the second week in a row.
Second week, he gets up, ready to go.
Okay, so that's the end of the game changes. Anything else to say, Matthew?
Not really. I'm not.
I'm
not a scientist and I'm not good at nutrition stuff, so I don't have too much to say.
Watch Glen's movie on Monday.
Yeah. Well, it's not mine, but I'll just say something at the end there. I think that whenever you're trying to find something that you're going to change your life or you're going to change certain aspects of your life, you should really, really try and understand and try and research a little bit more than what you read in magazines or what you see in movies, because all the information is out there. We all have access to this information. The internet is absolutely amazing, and there's the amount of information that we have access to is just incredible.
Yeah.
And everything is right there.
Yeah.
And if you understand a few fundamental, crucial ways of how to look at the information, you'll be led to the right conclusions most of the time.
Yeah. Okay, that's a good finish.
I got some quick feedback from people. We'll just go through it and we won't talk.
Listener feedback.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I asked obviously on Instagram what everyone's thinking and thoughts. First guy, I think his name's Jesse. He said cherry picked information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then Natasha, that's who gave us the information about reading Meredith Roots review. Matt Schiff said he would give us information after he watched it. He has not said anything yet.
Oh, he hasn't watched it yet. He's still busy running around the promenade.
There were more, from Damian, there were more partial facts in that scientific documentary than your podcast.
Thanks, Damian.
And then Diane wrote a very long, lots of...
We're busy here. Go away.
Go away.
Sorry, guys. I'm back.
Lots of little messages, and basically she was saying, from a nutrition point of view, she says we should be eating whole foods with some protein or some meat. And then, one more. Eddie. Eddie says, been trying out plant-based vegetarian for 3 weeks, and he says it's amazing.
Oh, good.
Who is Eddie?
Eddie. He's
Eddie.
one of our listeners.
Well, I'm not going to disclose Eddie on live on the podcast.
Yeah, so he's been trying it and it's been working for him 3 weeks.
Yeah,
okay.
So everyone has their own...
I think Eddie must give us, in a few more weeks, send us another feedback. Because like we said, it does work for some people.
You know what I think we should do? We should now all become subsistence farmers. We should plow a little piece of land on our properties at home.
Yeah.
Go totally vegan, grow our own food and sell all our technology.
I'd love to grow some of my own food. It's just it takes too much time. I've got no more time.
So it's more convenient to get
some
we're
going full circle back to the intro. And as Glenn said, we should most likely be very careful about shopping at Woolworths.
Yes.
For convenience purposes.
Convenience purposes.
And
jam
buy
sandwiches.
any pink ice, coconut ice.
Yeah.
Because it's not vegan.
I'm watching you, of course. I think you're going to eat that.
I'm taking that
after
home.
Definitely taking it home.
I'll waste my money.
You're going to break out in acne, you know that?
Yes, bro.
Backney.
So, you have some very, very extremely exciting news for us.
Absolutely. Be Aesthetics is going to be running a Black Friday special. We checked in with head office and they said that you can expect some deals of up to 50% off.
Yeah.
So you guys can obviously get your wallets ready, credit cards ready, but essentially, they do next day delivery, and you've got things like knee sleeves, wrist wraps, herd grips, carbon fiber grips. You've got the Flow Pro, which is the massage gun. You've got bags, weight vests, crash pads. There's a whole lot of things that you can stock up on for the upcoming CrossFit season. There is a code that has not been released yet, but I'm sure we can put it in our show notes.
So Black Friday is the 29th, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But we have a code.
We have a code. Yes, Norex 10.
Or 90.
Or 90. Try both.
Keep trying.
Eventually it'll work.
One day we'll have someone lucky is going to put it in.
The system will glitch and it will give you 90% off.
But in short, up to 50% off selected products.
Correct.
On Black Friday.
Correct.
Anything for Cyber Monday.
Cyber Monday?
What's that?
Never heard of that.
The cool down of Black Friday.
Oh, jeez.
Cyber Monday is the Monday following Monday.
Okay.
Only Matt shops on Cyber Monday.
Yes.
Not this year.
Yeah. Okay, so cool. We'll do that. Black Friday, I'll go to beaesthetics.co.za and I'll buy something. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want the Justin Swart special knee sleeves. I want his signature, as I keep saying. Eventually someone will buy them.
Courtney, one day when I'm done using them and
No.
there's a few letters missing,
Keep away
I will re-sign it and give it to you with a little bit of sweat on it too.
Swart.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so guys, you know where to find us. Justin, what's our email address?
Norex podcast@gmail.com.
That's 100% incorrect.
That's wrong.
Why you put me on the spot like that?
don't want to take the sheets.
The show notes say noresultsmedia@gmail.com. As far as I'm concerned, we probably still have the introduction to Gmail in our inbox. We have not received any emails from anybody.
No one's emailed us.
Our Instagram, Courtney.
Norex Media.
Wrong.
What? Norex Podcast.
There we go. That's 0 out of 2. Matt,
man.
what's our Twitter account?
It's the same. Norex Podcast.
Hey, there we go. That
was close. It's actually Norex podcast. No pause between podcast.
It used to be pod. I changed it to cast.
Right.
I had to.
Right, and you can, guys, we'll find a little segment on Instagram TV as well. You should have seen that as a pre-release. We're trying some new things. Soon, YouTube will be available. Justin forgot the camera at home for 2 weeks running now.
It's useless.
That's why we got Glen here, just to spice things up. Thank you, Glen.
Thanks, Glen.
Thank you so much.
What a pleasure.
Thanks,
for inviting me.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much.
See you next time.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.